As more countries look to join the ever-expanding European Union, Australia has been forced to change the way it thinks about Central Europe. A parliamentary delegation recently visited the area and found a host of countries willing to do business. But where there's opportunity, Australian investors have already found it. One country with great potential is Croatia, and as Stella Laurie found, it's working hard to overcome its grim past.
To the rest of the world, Croatia is probably best known for the part it played in a brutal war which engulfed the former Yugoslavia. It was 1991 when Croatia sought independence from its motherland, a bold move towards democracy which sparked a bloody conflict lasting 4 years. 10 years on, and this Adriatic jewel is only just now starting to shine. Emotionally, Croatia has yet to recover from her ugly past, but it's fear of being left behind while her neighbours rush towards a burgeoning Europe, which has forced this fledgling country to turn a new page and look beyond its borders.
We are slowly getting back to the world market, and we're trying to get back to the knowledge and expertise in exporting. That's what we are doing.
Tourism is this country's prized asset, worth $4 billion annually. Its 1,100 islands and 4,000 kilometres of coastline, luring visitors to a land that's roughly the same size as Tasmania.
We had good numbers now on the coast. We had this year expectation of 5% more tourists, more than 9 million tourists from all over the world.
And some Australians are capitalising on this lucrative market. David Tudorovic is one.
If you come into Croatia or Eastern Europe, it's a new market. You can be the first on the block, and your name can be recognised as a major player.
In 1956, his father Davor left Croatia for Australia with little more than a suitcase. He established a concrete business in South Australia and built it into a local empire. Now his son is trying to do the same in his father's homeland, not in concrete, but tourism. The family company has transformed 3 dilapidated hotels in the town of Beograd on the Dalmatian coast into one of Croatia's most successful enterprises.
When we acquired the company in 2000, there was no water. Water had been shut off. The marina was devastated. There was perhaps 300 boats in the marina. 2 of the 4 hotels were just devastated. They'd had refugees in them for over 2 years and had been basically stripped back to concrete.
The hotels have seen 30% growth in the last 3 years. Strong returns which have enabled Tudorovic to buy an 800-berth marina in Beograd and prime commercial real estate in and around the coastal city of Zadar.
We've basically taken our business practices from Australia, and we're implementing them here, regardless of the local laws. And we find that's the best way to, and the staff also find it very refreshing.
And while David isn't the first Australian to do well in this market, his success is encouraging other Australian companies to look at Central Europe. Recently, 130 Australians mixed their love of sailing with a little business to check out local opportunities.
The whole of Croatian coast has hundreds of hotels in need of refurbishment and repair and upgrading.
We've been here for about 3.5 years working on a resort project on the island of Croatia.
The annual event attracted business leaders and entrepreneurs from both countries, with Austrade helping to bring them together. But first there was a barrier to overcome. A barrier highlighted in a recent parliamentary report which found Australia has a, quote, ignorant view of the Central European market.
When they think about Central Europe, it's too less information, too small exposure of Central European opportunities, I would say, and knowledge about Central Europe.
But that same report also found that trade opportunities between Australia and Croatia are endless, and it's largely due to Croatia's obsession with privatisation. The tourism sector was the first to go to tender. The maritime, telecommunications and agricultural sectors are next.
The West Australian Government has certainly expressed interest in a process of the building up of the agricultural sector, particularly the veterinary side.
We have some other strategical companies that are going to go a little bit later, maybe the end of next year. That's Croatian oil company, Croatian electricity and things like that.
And Croatia's health sector has turned to the Australian Health Insurance Commission for advice. The HIC is spending months preparing a reform strategy for the Croatian government.
They've produced outcomes there with the Ministry of Health, which the Ministry of Health is now delivering or developing their policies along the lines of that project. And that's been a very positive outcome, both for the Health Insurance Commission, i.e. getting into this region and developing its profile here, and also for the Croatian Ministry of Health. They're implementing that approach.
Almos Systems, a Western Australian company which designs and manufactures weather monitoring equipment, also hit the jackpot and is now installing its products in every Croatian airport.
The initial tenders opened the door to the whole region for us, and since then it's been going very well.
But don't expect an easy ride if you venture into Croatia. It has many logistical flaws and a number of businesses have failed as a result. The international business community has placed Croatia in the high-risk category. And while the reason for this is simple enough, the solution is quite complex. This is a country which has embraced democracy but is in urgent need of reform.
If you go to an area to invest, you've got to do your homework. You've got to make sure that you not only know what you're getting into, but the conditions in which you're going to have to work in.
The main thing that's required here is your time. You really have to be on the ground.
While the Croatian government works towards disciplined fiscal and structural reform, it's already thinking and trading in euro dollars. But the European Union is keeping the country at arm's length until it complies with stringent rules. And this is where the war has come back to haunt it. The country won't be accepted into the EU until it allows the return of more than 600,000 refugees and gives the War Crimes Tribunal its full support. Croatia's outdated legal system is also being scrutinised. There's no common law in Croatia. Property settlement disputes are rife and often take decades to settle. The entire judicial system is in need of a major overhaul.
And that's going to take a lot of work, a lot of reforming, a lot of effort on the part of both the bureaucracy and businesses and the government itself to make those changes.
But if all goes well, Croatia could be admitted to the EU by as early as 2007.
We are preparing pre-accession economic policy, we are doing national development plan, all the things that move with the auspices of Brussels.
As volatile as it seems, progress is being made, and the advice is this. Australian companies looking to invest or trade with Croatia should consider establishing themselves in the region before it becomes part of the wider European community.
And the message for Australians?
We are waiting for them.